Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Carried by the Breeze, a podcast dedicated to the voices of the future where you'll get to be part of the most honest conversations about self-development, spirituality, and holistic health. I'm your host, Carrie Breeze, and today I have the pleasure to introduce you to a remarkable mother-daughter duo, Elizabeth Reed and Sarah Bird. Together, they are plant-based health coaches deeply committed to helping individuals embrace a holistic path to wellness. Their shared philosophy centers on the belief that a healthy and happy life is rooted in nurturing both the body and the mind with whole food, plant-based nutrition. Their approach is enriched by the integration of a positive intelligence framework, offering valuable tools for managing stress and navigating relationships. In this episode, Elizabeth and Sarah will inspire you by sharing their vision for a sustainable future. Together, we'll explore the profound idea that the future of our planet is closely tied to love and care for our environment. Their insights will challenge previous beliefs and misconceptions about veganism, making this an enlightening conversation even for those who, like me, may not be vegans. We'll uncover this fascinating discussion that not only breaks down stereotypes about a plant-based diet, but also dives into thought-provoking topics such as ethical considerations, self-sabotage, staying true to one's values, the connection between meat consumption and cognitive health, and much more. So, without further ado, let's jump into this thought-provoking episode. Guys, introduce yourselves.
I'll go first. Sure. So I'm Sarah. Carrie, thanks so much for having us on your podcast. We're excited to be here. We own a small business called Peas and Serenity, which helps people to go plant-based and reduce stress in their life using the positive intelligence method. So we're both coaches for the program. This is my mom.
Hi, I'm Sarah's mom, and Sarah and I had this idea to help as many people go vegan as we could, and that's what we're all about. I'm obviously a mom. I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and I've been a coach for about 7 years, and I love helping people change their lifestyle if that's what they want.
Awesome. So the first question that comes to mind is, why veganism? Why is it your passion? What led you there?
Yeah, I think everybody comes to veganism on their own route. And that's actually funny you asked that, because we are just putting together a book of vegan, like plant-based origin stories from a bunch of our friends talking about like what led them to go vegan and how they went plant-based. So everybody has such a crazy story. Mine was when I was in middle school. I was 14 years old. We had a pretty standard American diet in my family at the time, and I saw some PETA videos, like slaughterhouse footage at the time. And for me, that was just tough. It was shocking, right?
Tough
So
imagery.
I think before that, I was able to like dissociate, like most people do. Like you don't think of like your food as being an animal, like a dog or a cat. You think of it as food. But I think at that point, I made the connection that like animals are animals, and I love animals, so I'm not going to eat them. And I haven't eaten an animal since. And then eventually I discovered veganism and then whole food plant-based and like healthy ways of living. But that was my initial impetus. And mom's story is a little different.
How did it happen to you, Elizabeth?
Well, so when I was a little girl, it's kind of a long story, but I had a pet bird. And I loved him, and I would never have eaten him. And when I made the association with, oh, wait, a chicken is also a bird, just because I don't know this chicken's name and I haven't met him, or her.
That is tragic.
I don't want to eat him.
That's a child's trauma right there.
Right? So when I see, KFC and the legs come out, like, wait, that's an animal leg. And it evolved from there. But when I was pregnant with Sarah, my doctor told me I had to eat meat or I would not have a healthy baby. So I wanted to have a healthy baby.
Has totally been debunked, by the way. Yeah.
Debunked, yes.
Totally. But,
But, this was before Google. Sarah's 29, so it was before Google.
Before we could do our own research, eh?
Right, you could do your own research. And I actually had a book, What to Expect While You're Expecting. A lot of moms had that. And I just said, okay, I'm going to eat the meats. And then after I got divorced, I said, you know what? I don't have to eat the meats anymore. And I was eating pescatarian, just a fish, and then some cheese and dairy, but otherwise plants. And then Sarah had me watch. It was really all Sarah. Videos about aquaculture and how fish are harvested. It's not some nice guy out there with his fishing pole in a lake.
Yeah, it's not as romantic.
Right. And I would never like grab a fish and clunk it on the head and eat it.
Yeah.
So I just said, why, if I wouldn't do it, why would I pay someone to do it for me? So I looked into, okay, can I be healthy? Because I wasn't convinced I could be healthy without animal protein.
Mm-hmm.
And once I realized I
that
could,
that is
that was
that
it.
is a common misconception, first of all, well, for years we're being told that meat and dairy are good for you. All this advertisement, and marketing around milk. Let's say we have that got milk campaign from long time ago, and we still remember it because it's so imbued into our culture, right? But also
Right.
it's I know nowadays that it's a misconception that a vegan diet lacks the essential nutrients that we need, like protein, iron, calcium. So yeah, I would like to hear your insight about that. Like let's debunk some prejudices here.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's a misconception, right? And it's a little, I think, a little exhausting for vegans to have to keep repeating, not right now because this is a great time to talk about it, but in general, just because it feels like plant-based doctors and a lot of doctors are saying over and over and over again, like, yes, this is healthy. Actually, this is the healthiest diet. Like these people live the
Yeah.
longest. These people have like the lowest um instances of heart disease or cancer and diabetes. They're not overweight. So there's really no nutrient that's missing from a vegan diet. Most vegans do supplement with B12 because B12 only occurs naturally in animal products, but there are even like cereal has B12, some of them are like nutritional yeast has B12. So you don't even necessarily have to take a B12 supplement if you're just, like aware of how you're getting it in your diet. Also, meat eaters are usually deficient in B12. So let's just debunk that one. We should probably all take B12 according to modern science. Eating meat doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to have the right amount of B12. And they're even supplementing like chickens with B12. So we're all getting supplements from somewhere. And in terms of protein, plants have protein. Beans have a lot of protein. Whole grains have protein. Broccoli even has protein. Soy milk has a ton of protein.
Black beans have the same, if you compared the same number of calories of steak or black beans, they have almost the exact same nutritional profile with iron and the protein. It's just that the beans have fiber and the steak doesn't, but otherwise,
Beans don't have saturated fat. Beans don't have cholesterol.
cholesterol.
Beans have calcium. Yeah, you have just so much more nutrient dense, even more healthy than like a meat, which is, we consider it like, like to get big and strong, but really you're just kind of slowing yourself down with
Yeah.
products like that.
So let's really dive into this because I know that for you guys it was more of an ethical choice that you, Sarah, you kind of swept the family away with you. So let's talk about health because other than the first thing that non-vegan people would think about veganism is that it's not tasty, right? This is something that I could tell you guys as somebody who isn't vegan but very much enjoys vegan food. It is tasty and it is amazing. But one aspect that everybody talks about is the health aspect, right? Because again, there's a lot of culturally embedded messaging into us. There's a lot of researches, right, coming up this year, that year, all sorts of diets. People are confused. What's good for you? What's not good for you? I'll even challenge you with the fact that I had some friends that went vegan and reported in brackets, yeah, but told me they feel tired, they feel out of energy, even uninspired. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about health benefits and how to do it right, maybe like where people are making their mistakes from what you see.
Yeah, that's a super important thing to bring up because vegan does not mean healthy necessarily. Like the people assume that because you're eating vegan means you like to be healthy, but it doesn't. Like you said, there is different types of vegan. Some people are just ethical vegan, so they don't care. They'll eat like veggie burgers and processed food and French fries, and Papa John's has a vegan pizza, and all of that stuff can be made vegan. Vegan ice cream, Ben and Jerry's, they make a vegan. There is a lot of really unhealthy vegan food on the market, which is great for the animals. But I think that mom and I are like a lot of vegans are in the boat of we want to help animals the best way. We want to represent veganism in the best possible way as well. So we want to be our best possible versions of ourselves while being vegan, kind of to show everyone that you don't need to eat necessarily animal products to be healthy and to thrive. But there are those delicious unhealthy foods that are vegan as well.
Right, Oreos. Oreos are vegan.
Are
Technically,
vegan.
Oreos have no
Um,
animal products. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about effort versus taste, you know, because again, people might think that it's not tasty. It takes too much time to be a vegan, you know, and that could be that crucial point between choosing a more ethical lifestyle and just, you know, giving way to comfort, because it's easier to just, you know, pop a steak into the microwave or whatever, however people make their
right,
steaks.
It's
right.
like
And
a great steak.
we we do work with a lot of clients who eat at restaurants
Mhm.
most of their meals, especially lunch and dinner. They might eat breakfast at home, but then they eat lunch and dinner out. And yes, if you're going to eat out, it's really hard to find a healthy meal. In fact, we found the statistic that less than 1.1% of restaurant meals are healthy. So if you're
Wow.
comparing trying to eat healthy plant-based meals or getting food delivered to your door or coming through your car window, then sure, it's more prep. It's going to be more prep. But I would challenge people that are cooking at home, other, meat products, that it's not any more work than cooking animal products. They especially have gadgets like a food processor can chop your
Yeah.
food, your vegetables really quickly, or blender can, blend things up quickly, and it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be labor intensive.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It
And I
doesn't
always
have to
ask,
be a hustle, right? Especially
yeah,
if you know what you're doing in the kitchen.
exactly. We always like to ask people, like, what are you eating right now? Like, what are let's say your 6 go-to meals? And then we look at those meals, and there's usually a pretty easy plant-based alternative. You just do a couple of swaps, like a steak. Okay, let's do a cauliflower steak, right? And then we could do like, I don't know, throw some chickpeas on the pan for some extra protein, have like put it like, I don't know, you put like a marinade, whatever you would normally use for your steak marinade, you use the same
Yeah.
thing for your cauliflower and your chickpeas and whatever other veggies you have that you want to put in there. And then you still like, that doesn't really take that much longer than it would a steak. And you're going to feel so much better. Like, and that's the other thing too. So like a cauliflower obviously has a lot less calories than a steak. So you're not going to eat just like one little like chunk of cauliflower. You're going to eat a lot more volume of food. And I think a lot of new vegans don't understand that. So they won't count their calories, which is fine. You don't necessarily have to count your calories, but you need to be aware that if you feel tired or like dragging, you're probably not eating enough. You probably didn't get
Mhm.
the base amount of calories that you need in a day, because
So
you really
that
do have
would
to
be an
eat more.
indicator you're not doing it right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
not
there's
eating
no
enough.
exactly.
It's not the
Yeah, there's
choice, it's how you do it.
exactly. There's no reason that you should feel bad on a vegan diet other than like something like that. You're not eating enough food, or you're not including enough variety of plants. Like obviously, like if you're just eating French fries and Oreos, like okay, you're vegan, but you're probably not going to feel great, right? So the goal that with our program, with our coaching program, we really try to teach people to eat whole foods. Not
Mhm.
because those are the only vegan foods, they're not, but they really are the foods that are going to fill you up. They're going to make you feel good. They're going to make you, like have energy and feel light and ready to live your best life. So there are a lot of vegan foods out there, but the whole foods, when I say whole foods, I mean like, like chickpeas and like cucumbers, and not just salad, but like lentils. You can make veggie burgers, you can
Things that would
carrots.
keep your energy level still up and you're rejuvenated and you're ready to go to the
Yeah.
gym, you know, like it's something that I feel a lot of people who train at the gym, they feel like a vegan diet is impossible for them. Like there's no kind of substitute that could build up the muscle, you know, build up the shape that they want to get as a result. And I know nowadays that it's not true. It's all about how you do it, how well you're prepared for this kind of life change. But other than all of that, being prepared, you know, in the kitchen, let's talk about the fact that you need to be prepared mentally for this kind of transition, because it can sound very overwhelming or scary for somebody who does want to make the change out of a ethical or healthy choice. But yeah, how help them in that aspect?
Yeah, sure. And that's why our program combines peas and serenity, you know, the name.
That's the cutest name, by the way. I love it so much.
Yeah, Sarah came up with that. My sister said it sounds like you're combining like a yoga studio with a food truck. Like, do those things really
But
go
it's
together?
just holistic health in the whole. It's
Right, but it's not just about changing behavior. It's also changing the way that we think, and it does take resilience and commitment, and some of those. I don't like to use the word mindset. It's kind of overused, but it's just those ways of thinking that, oh, wait, I'm going to do this and I'm committed. Now, what do I need to do to get there? And that's the way that we can really help our clients, because I think really, if you wanted to, you could Google, plant-based diet and get some
How
guidelines.
to go vegan. Yeah. You don't right, you don't have to necessarily sign up for an 8-week program, but and you'll have everything. You'll have all the information online. There's recipes online. There's facts. There's reasons to go reasons to go vegan, reasons to stay. All of that is online. But what's not there is really that mindset, like that shift in your mindset practice of like, and it's not just about eating either. What we talk about is about relationships. It's about living your life. It's about managing stress. It's about
yeah.
sleeping better. It's about like really, we talk a lot about something called your saboteurs. So kind of like the internal
hmm
voices where you sabotage yourself. There are 10 of them. The main one is the judge. We talk a lot about how we judge ourselves and how we judge others.
Oh, that's
We
a
talk
strong
about how
one. It's a strong,
yeah,
strong
it's so
voice. We
important.
all have it.
Yes, exactly. We do.
Right.
We do. Everybody has a judge. So we teach our clients how to recognize the judge and then some ways to shift away from that judge way of thinking about judging yourself, judging others, to maybe empathizing with yourself, or maybe looking for opportunities in a situation rather than just judging the situation. And then there are other saboteurs too. Like vegans, we struggle a lot with the pleaser saboteur, right? Like my friend's
Hmm.
mom made these burgers. She made these rapists. I don't want to
How
hurt
do
her
I get out of
feelings.
it?
Right? I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Do
I
I
don't want to
have
be
to?
rude. Exactly. I don't want to be rude, but I also really don't want to eat animals, right? I think a lot of people have maybe that type of like dissonance of, so we teach you like how to be confident in your decisions and how to like navigate those situations, because it's hard. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's ever easy, but there's always a way to navigate it and to decide what you want and to be firm. And I think
Yeah.
just education and surrounding yourself with people that support you is the best way to do that.
But what
Mhm.
would you say to a person that is challenged by, the community they live in? We have some cultures that are literally, they evolve around meat, the consumption of meat. Like my Argentinian friends, they don't even want to listen to me when it comes to, not slaughtering a cow today. So
Yeah.
how do you work around that?
Well, believe it or not, even Argentina has a huge vegan community. Actually, Argentina has one of the biggest vegan communities in Latin America. So we just tell people, like, you do you, love. Like, you don't have to please anyone else. Like mom said, like, the pleaser is one of our main saboteurs, like trying to form ourselves into what other people want us to be. We don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Nobody else cares what you do, right? You do you, and you're always responsible for your own body and your own consumption. And so we also tell people, there's some things you can do. Like if you know you're going to a restaurant where there's nothing for you, eat before. Maybe bring a granola bar, be ready to just like drink water and snack on French fries, but like eat
Yeah,
before, don't be
don't be a
hungry.
victim. There's a solution for
Don't
anything, right?
exactly. Like you just be prepared. Like always have maybe like granola bars in your purse, or like have some fruit and nuts ready to go in case you are in a situation where there's not going to be a vegan option. And also it's not about being perfect either. So like if okay, like your grandma makes your favorite like whatever meatloaf and like you have a slice, like, oh no, I'm not vegan anymore. No, of course you're still vegan. Like it's okay. Like
It's
it's not
it's
about
not a
perfection.
religion, right? It's not a
It's not a
religion. It's a
religion. You're not going
discipline.
to
You're not gonna be in the purgatory with all the cows you slaughtered and ate.
exactly. It's not
Right.
going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. So we just say, like, be confident with what you want. If that's what you're choosing, you can know why you're doing it. If you feel comfortable talking to other people about it, then people will probably have questions, right? And you can just like answer their questions and be open and honest. A lot of new vegans are not comfortable talking about it yet because it is like very against the social norms, right? And some people will be very, aggressive and very contrary to your food choices, which I've never understood. Like, Chad, why do you care
Yes,
what I'm eating?
it's actually a question people ask on dates now. Like,
Yeah.
are you a
And they
vegan?
care
Oh
a
no.
lot. They care a lot. Exactly. Like, why do you care? Why is this an issue? Because it's me, it's my body, it's my values. So that's I think we focus a lot on that, on just like that self-confidence of doing what you want to do for you. Also, I learned about the environmental aspects, right? The sustainability
Yeah.
aspects about like if everybody could go vegan, we could basically stop climate change. Like that's huge. That's something like knowing that, like I have to be a part of that, right? Like I think everybody in our generation, once you know that, like at least half of your changing half of your diet, going vegan half of the time would make a huge strides towards mitigating climate change. And there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah, just
Um,
but putting a pause to it, it could literally change the course of the next decade. It could save the
Literally, like you could
planet.
save like exactly like the coastal ecosystems, literally like beaches, Miami, Los Angeles, all of these places that are like kind of going to be underwater if we don't do something. We have the solution right here, and it's not that hard. But for some people, it is hard because they don't know what to eat, they don't know how to do it, they have a lot of family
It all
pressure.
comes
Like
down to education. So let's educate them.
Yeah, well,
exactly. Right now when we talk about sustainability, we're mostly talking about climate change. That's the biggest hot topic in sustainability.
Yeah.
There's other things, there's like deforestation and there's water and stuff like that, but climate change is the big one. And of all of the ways that I've seen to mitigate or prevent climate change, plant-based eating is by far the most impactful. So that's where I want to put my energy and my focus is teaching people and educating people on how to eat plant-based, like for the planet, really, and also for the animals and also for their health. Like there's no downsides. There's zero
So
downsides.
it
You
covers
can
all
save money, you can
aspects.
get
Yeah.
healthy. Yes, exactly. So I feel really passionate about putting my energy and my focus into that. And like you said, it's all about education and like teaching people why you should do it more than anything. And then secondly, how you can do it. Right. Because
Okay.
once you know why, then you'll figure out a way. So the United Nations has been saying it for years. I think they first published something, or at least I first saw that they published something, I think 2011, saying like, we need to shift toward a plant-based diet. This is the United Nations, like publishing this to the world. Like, hey, you guys, this is not sustainable how we're eating. Like we're using way too many of this crop land is all going to feed all these billions of animals that we're just eating and consuming and consuming. And this is not it's not healthy for us for one, but it's really not healthy for the planet because to feed all these farm animals themselves are not great for the planet, right? They poop, they're dirty, they take a lot of space, they drink a lot of water. You have a lot of like
A lot
messy
of
when you're killing
upkeep
them,
to
like
our food.
a lot of upkeep, but also they have to eat. They have to like age. They have to grow. These are living beings that need a lot of food. So we're growing these huge monocrops of corn. It's usually genetically modified. Same with the soy, right? These huge monocrops, like massive, like rainforest, Amazon destruction levels, just to feed the animals. And if we could just
Yeah.
skip the middleman, let's say the animal that's eating those food, that many soybeans could really feed the world a lot, like many, many, many times over. How many billions of animals do we eat every year? It's billions, right? And that's not even to get started on the fish aspect, right? Like we're talking about
Yeah.
if you've watched the documentary Seaspiracy, they looked into
Oh
it and
yes.
scientists are
I
saying
I remember that one very,
empty
very well.
oceans. You remember this empty oceans by 2050? Like no more fish, no more whales, no more sharks. Like if we keep going
That's
how we're
insane
going,
to think about.
it's it's tragic. Like it really is like a major issue and it's so fixable. I think this is what gets us and why we're so motivated
And
to do what
fast.
we
I
do.
feel like nature would,
It's
just rejuvenate so fast. She knows what she's doing.
exactly. If we stopped with all the deforestation, we just planted some trees instead of all of that, right? We just go back to eating plants. Everybody would feel great. The world would recover. But there is going to be a tipping point, right? Everybody talks about it like 2030, like the 2 degrees, right? Climate change.
Yeah.
There will be a no going back point at some point, but we're not there yet. And it would just be so easy if everybody could go vegan or even go like mostly vegan. It would make a huge impact on the climate, on the rainforest, on biodiversity, right? Conservationists should think about going vegan for those reasons too.
But
I have a lot to say about that.
wouldn't you say that the industry is what's basically keeping the cows alive, the cattle alive?
I would say the demand is keeping the cattle alive, right? So like
Yeah.
you're keeping like you're birthing, you're constantly like reproducing cattle. Cattle don't just like right.
We have cows for ages.
That's the thing. Like if everybody like if we stopped buying burgers, they would stop raising cows for food. They just would because there would be no industry for that. That's how supply and demand work. If there was no more demand, and the supply would trickle off. Like, that's not going to happen that everybody's going to stop eating burgers overnight. But if they slowly decrease the demand, which could easily happen, right? If enough people start to make the decision, then the supply would go down as well. The rainforest would stop being cut down to feed the cows. Because right now, what we're doing is we're increasing the demand, right? The world
Yeah.
population goes up and up and up. Our affluence goes up and up and up. The demand is increase and increase and increase. We're playing a dangerous game.
Oh, that is for sure. But let's talk about solutions, right? Like right now I'm seeing this for me, excuse me, for everybody who's listening and supports, but I'm hearing about this new lab grown, lab based meat, and that stuff scares me so much. Like if you would put a cow and that little thing grown in a dish in front of me, I'm taking the cow. Because let's talk about really what the future holds, because if that's going to be the substitute, I feel like we're all in trouble. What is your take on the lab grown meats and all of that?
I mean, I'm not against it, but it's so unnecessary. I think if it's one way to taper off the demand is to give people an alternative, then I'm all for that. But yeah, it's not necessary. We can get everything we need from the plants. So get the protein from beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds. And plus, like Sarah said, all vegetables have some protein. Get the,
Right.
we can get everything we need without growing artificial things in a lab. I'm with you.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
Frankenfood.
Creepy. It's exactly like you said. It's about shifting that perspective. So when you look at it, you're seeing a lab grown burger and an animal burger. But what I see is a lab grown burger, an animal burger, a lentil burger, a tofu burger, a black bean burger, a red bean burger, like a quinoa burger. Like there are a lot more
So
options
many
than just those
options.
two. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Oh,
many options.
that is good to know, because God bless it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Lab
Obviously, I
grown
wouldn't.
anything just sounds like such a bad idea.
I
So,
agree. Yeah, I always recommend that people look for things that look like what they were in nature. So,
hmm,
lab grown meat is not looking, yeah, I just don't, I can't. But like like beans and vegetables, fruit is when you buy them to eat, they should look like what the way they grew.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So one more challenging thing that I heard about is people think that a vegan lifestyle is costly, that it's something that only the privileged can enjoy, that it's more of a Western concept, to a healthy diet. So how can we promote the diversity of vegan food and challenge that idea that it's just like this Western new diet?
Well, oh my gosh, that would be an easy one because we could look at most countries in the world, the poorest people eat vegan. If you think about it, almost any country, like the cheapest food you can get is going to be a plant-based food. Meat has always been a luxury, right? Up until like pretty recently when they super industrialized factory farming, meat was a luxury, right? Like people used to have to pay a lot for that. And I think in a lot of places in the world, it is still a lot cheaper to eat plant-based. And it's if you are looking in the grocery store and you go over to like the vegan cheeses or let's say the Impossible Burgers, they might look a little bit more expensive. But then if you like take a turn and you go over to the beans and the lentils and like the rice and the whole grains and the fruits and the veggies that are in season, this stuff is a lot cheaper. So it's just about learning to eat the foods that are in season. And if you are on a budget like that, I think that I'm asking, how are people that are on a budget affording cheese and meat? That's a lot more
Yeah.
expensive than the beans and rice that I'm buying.
Yeah, I was really interested in the blue zones. This is the zones where
Mm.
people live to be 100, and there's a few
Mhm.
of them around the world. One of them is in Costa Rica, and these are some very poor people, but they live with energy and vitality well into their 90s and 100 and beyond.
And it's because they eat
And
what
Wow.
grows around their house. They just eat what grows. There's no money for meat, really. Not that they're vegan. They don't know what veganism is, right? I've been to Nicoya. Like, it's
And
not
they
really a
also
thing.
eat seasonal, right? Like they're very in tune with nature and
Well, it's
nothing processed. At least not as much as we eat processed food, right?
exactly. Well, if your only option is like the pumpkin and the rice that's like growing around your house, that's what you're gonna eat. And it's so good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about, processed food and this whole new transition that a person that chooses now veganism is going through. Like we said, we change our entire relationship with food, right? But the main relationship that's being changed, I feel like it's the relationship with ourselves. Because we all know that processed food isn't good for us, right? But we still make the deliberate choice to consume it every day, not only by eating outside, but just buying stuff that are bad for us. Everybody knows that slaughterhouses are filthy and disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about the sad part of it, yeah, but everybody knows where processed food comes from, and we still make the deliberate choice to put it in our body. Why?
Yeah.
It's a bigger question, it's a bigger problem. It's the way we treat ourselves, it's the way we show up for ourselves every day. And my goal is to just, inspire people to be the best version of themselves that they can be. So we have a
Yes,
better
I love that,
planet, we
right?
have a better society, we have a better future for our kids. So
Yes, and question everything. Like question those institutions, question like
exactly.
those advertisements that you're seeing. Like, why are you pushing this on me? It's not good for me.
Exactly.
Right?
How would you help somebody to see what they're doing to themselves and really create that mind shift around this new relationship with yourself now that you're unraveling?
Yeah, I'll take that one. It's all about love. It's all about love. So it's about loving your life, loving your body for the gift that it is, and
I already love it.
loving
Love, love, love. Keep going.
the plants. To me, it's even about being vegan. It's about loving the animals, loving the planet, and so the definition of a toxic relationship is loving someone or something that hurts you. And so, continually going to that thing that hurts you, that's an act of like self-flagellation. Like it's the opposite of self-love. And
Yeah, that is
and
true.
so expressing that love for ourselves by nourishing our bodies, I would say a lot of clients come to me because they want to lose weight. And I that's not my favorite thing to work with clients on, because a lot of people, they hate themselves, they hate their body, they just want to change their body and they want their body to
And it's not
behave.
a long-term choice, right? Just let me lose the
Right.
weight.
Right. They want the food to behave, they want their body to look a certain way, but they don't really want to embrace the body that they're given and love it and nourish it and care for it, as and cherish it. So that is the mindset shift of I'm doing this out of fear, hate, desperation, whatever. To I'm doing this because I love myself, I love animals, I love this beautiful
Planet.
food I get to eat, and I'm going to take care of myself, take care of my family by nourishing all of us with something wonderful.
I love, love, love it that it all comes to love, right?
It's all about love.
Just accepting that we're worthy of something better than what is being offered to us, right? Than what is being packaged and cellophaned and marketed as the best option. So if you really go in on it, how would a vegan person feel? Let's talk about that. Like somebody who has made the choice and already transitioned, how is life looking for them? How do they feel in their body?
Yeah, well, for
Yeah.
one thing, they're happy. We found a study that showed that vegans are significantly happier on self-reported scale compared to people of all other, pescatarian, vegetarian, meat eaters. So just feeling happy, like generally happy. Also, a clear conscience. Like I'm doing
Mm,
something my best. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best for my body, for the animals, for the planet. Sarah, what were
Yeah.
you going to say?
Yeah, no, we actually just
that's
did
a
a
great
podcast
reward.
about that. Well, our last podcast was actually about that, about like the relationship between like what you eat and the amount of serotonin that's produced, because 95% of your
Mm,
serotonin is actually produced in your gut. We found, so we did some research on that. And so giving your gut whole foods that are full of healthy micronutrients and fiber for those little bacteria to eat, they produce so much serotonin. So you
literally
might
makes
find
you
yourself,
happier.
it literally is like a happiness boost. That's literally the way to boost your serotonin naturally with no pills. And so there's that, and you feel, I think a lot of people say they feel lighter. A lot of people have way better digestion, like way better. Like people that are not regular suddenly are like, wow, what is this? I'm pooping every day. It's excellent.
There's a,
There are no
a feeling of
problems.
lightness, right, in your body, like you feeling lighter because what? Because from my understanding, you're wasting less energy on just digesting the food because it's not as heavy as meat and dairy products. Is that's what's
Yeah, well,
happening there?
it has less fat and it has a lot more fiber. So your body needs
Mhm.
fiber for digestion. And if you're not getting that fiber, which most Americans are not getting anywhere near, or Canadians, or most people in the first world are really not getting anywhere near amount of fiber they should be. So just having that like proper amount of fiber, because all of your meals now have fiber, not just like a small side salad like in the corner. It's everything is full of fiber. So your body's like, thank you. This is what we're designed to eat. Like really, it feels so much better.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and but talking about how vegans might feel, I one of the emotions that we deal with people on is feeling of being different. Like we want to be part of the tribe. We want to be the same as the people around us. That's just human nature. That's how we're wired. It's for safety. Our
yeah.
ancestors needed to get along with the people around them in order to live. So we want that. We crave that connection with our people. And as soon as we start eating differently, ooh, that makes us different. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a kind of an uncomfortable emotion that needs to be worked through. But like Sarah said, it can be an opportunity to be strong in our own selves and be resilient and empowered. Like I'm doing this because I think this is right. And no one can make me eat something I don't want to. Like just unless
Yeah.
like, right?
No, they won't. And that's the thing. And really, we talk about that too, like not judging other people because everybody's on their own journey. And sometimes people go vegan and they want like, they realize like, wow, this is better and I feel good. And let me like help you go vegan. And other people are like, whoa, I don't want to go vegan. And then you have to realize that like not everybody's ready to go vegan today. And that's okay. Right. So not judging other people for their choices because everybody's on their journey. Everybody's doing the best that they know to do at that time. Right. I think that's a big thing that a lot of new vegans have to learn is just like to not do that.
Like, how
Yeah,
can they? How can they? And it's like, why
Doesn't
don't
help.
they care? And yeah, no, it just
that's
upsets
that's
people.
another thing to talk about because
Yeah.
veganism has a reputation for being extreme and very dogmatic, you know?
Mhm.
So how can we encourage open and respectful dialogues between vegans and non-vegans and to break down these barriers and to destroy these stereotypes basically?
I mean, I think conversations like these are a great start. Like just like this, like with open-ended questions, like we're not judging you and you're not judging us. Like this is just the information that we know. You have the information that you know. Like if we could have more open conversations with anybody, because a lot of people are just like looking to heckle you, unless they're not looking for conversations. And with those people, the best you can do is just to be a positive example, right? And to not be that like judgy, angry vegan. And if they ask something, give the best answer, I would say. But if someone really wants to have an open conversation, I think the biggest thing is just be careful of that judge because if someone feels judged, they're not going to feel heard, right? I won't
Yeah,
feel
for
heard if
sure.
I'm being judged, and I wouldn't want anyone else to feel like that either.
Can you talk more about the concept of the inner judge that we have inside of us? I feel like it ties everything down together, and let's talk more about that.
Sure. Yeah. It's one name for the inner critic or that voice. That's that voice saying you're not good enough
Yes.
is the judge, and then the judge has nine accomplices. We call them that they have different flavors of you're not good enough. Like
Mhm.
Sarah was saying, the pleaser. Like I'm only good enough if I do what everyone else wants me to, or the victim, things are happening to me, I'm not empowered. And so we should try to shift our thinking away from all these negative, defeating kind of thoughts to more expansive, beautiful, creative thoughts. We call that sage thinking. This is all within our own brains. It's our brains have actually physically different parts. There's I'm sure you've heard of them: amygdala, the hippocampus,
Yeah.
there's the right brain, left brain, the corpus callosum. So scientists can actually look at your brain with a functional MRI machine and see what part of your brain is going off when you're having that thought of, oh, I'm not good enough,
Mhm.
versus, okay, things are good and they could be better. That's a wise way of looking. And I think looking at a situation as, okay, this is what it is, and what is the gift and opportunity I can create out of this situation is so much healthier than, oh, life is terrible, we're all going to die.
Oh, for
And
sure.
right.
Yeah, and
You see
I would say
opportunity and excitement in place of challenge, right?
Mm.
It's just a
exactly.
change of a
Mindset.
mindset. Mhm.
Exactly. And just identifying those thoughts as negative thoughts. I think that just becoming aware of like this isn't me, this isn't real, this is the voice inside my head telling me that this is bad. And maybe there's something that can be fixed here, but like I don't have to be so judgmental or so self-deprecating or any of that, right? There's always a better way to think of something if you can just kind of intercept those thoughts, as you're having them.
Yeah. I feel like just the inner judge, we could maybe approach it a little differently, because I feel that especially when you make a lifestyle change in your diet, you have a lot of these bickering thoughts, that I'm
Mhm.
you're kind of setting yourself to failure initially, even before you begun your process, because the judge is constantly there telling you, oh, that's another diet, that's another life change you're gonna try, right?
You're
it's
gonna
it's
fail
never gonna.
again. You failed these other ones. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
how in that process we turn that voice inside of us into a friend, into a teacher, somebody that instead of nag at us, we can use as a companion. Like, could that transition be made?
So there are five sage powers that we talk about, right? There's five little like methods that we talk about. Mama, do you know them off the top of your head? I want to put you on the spot.
Gosh, oh, on the spot.
I'm sorry.
Well, one of my favorite one is we call it the Elder Wiser Self Sage Power
Mm.
Game, where it helps us navigate. So, navigating, we set our course. And if you think, okay, we do this, get quiet, in a quiet spot, taking some deep breaths, all that. And imagine that you're speaking with your elder, wiser self. What is important for me to pay attention to right now?
Hmm.
Really takes away some of that immediate, oh, life is, this is a disaster kind of thinking, or like I'm terrible and I suck at everything kind of thinking, to, okay, like your elder self, what would they tell you about what's going on with you right now, and what's
Right.
important to pay attention to, and which way to go from here?
Exactly, right? And you have that conversation with yourself from the future. That's one of my favorite sage powers too. And you think like she would be so proud of me for doing this, right? Like I will be proud of myself in the future. And then you kind of reframe that as to like I'm gonna fail versus like future me is gonna be doing great because I'm doing this,
She's
right?
gonna
And
feel
you get to
proud, and she's gonna feel balanced. So
yeah, she's
basically just
healthy.
reprogramming your negative thoughts into positive ones, basically. And just
Exactly.
allowing
Ex-
yourself that space for transformation. I love it
exactly.
because I talk a lot on my channel about the journey inwards, about the power that it gives us when we reconnect to our inner voice, when we listen to the thing inside of us that basically tells us right from wrong by the end of it, right? So I love it that even through this kind of choice, we get to experience ourselves in a different light, allow ourselves this space where we could grow into our wiser, higher self, um, and I love it that this is a choice that can really affect our planet, right? And like Sarah said before, it's all about education. And I created this exact podcast so we can really carry new visions and ideas on the wind of change, towards the next generations. How do we educate our younger younger generation, or just people in general, to make a more sustainable choice?
I
That's a good
think, yeah, it's a great point, because it doesn't matter what the baby boomers do, that we're on our way out, right? So, when
No,
we
you
may have
still
messed things
have
up.
time and you need to stay and inspire.
But I think millennials and Gen Z, and even the younger people, they're more aware of their carbon footprint. For example, that's a
Mhm.
thing. Their impact. the whole idea of recycling and reuse, recycle, um, it's all wonderful for the younger people, and I think most children are vegan. Like, most children love animals. In fact, if we have a child that likes to kill animals, we usually think they're a psychopath, right?
Some
So
questions arise.
right? So I think most children, if you gave them a choice, wouldn't want to kill animals. In fact, when we were doing our research for our book, we interviewed several people, or got testimonies from people who grew up on farms, and it was traumatic for them to see their beloved lambs become
Oh,
food, for example. So I think that it's not so much as education as deprogramming, that it's okay to, like,
deprogramming,
again,
exactly.
without sounding judgmental, that
Mm,
we've been taught that this is okay, that it's
yep.
okay to let animals suffer and live in horrible conditions and then be slaughtered in horrible ways. I'm just going to say,
Mhm.
for so that we have some, bacon, or
Right, and for
something
our
to eat.
delicious cultural meals.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the hard part because it is super ingrained into culture, and so a lot of people couldn't imagine possibly ever going vegan. But a lot of people couldn't also ever imagine possibly eating a dog, right, or a cat,
Yeah.
and or a horse. And like, really, if you've ever spent time with, let's say, a chicken, a pig, a cow, it sounds crazy because we don't spend a lot of time with those animals, but they're not really different, right? They're animals just like a dog is. Like, they want to be loved, they like to be pet, they're playful, they have emotions, they get sleepy, they get hungry. So I think just that cognitive dissonance, like the more that we can get people to realize, like, to get people to wake up. I always say, like, wake up. Like, that's just because it's not a dog doesn't mean it's like necessarily a totally different and okay to slaughter. Like, it doesn't make sense
No.
if you think about it. Like, if you can really put yourself to think about it and try to, like, erase everything you've been taught and everything you think is normal, like, how is that okay? What's really the difference?
No,
Like, if I
everything
had
in that
yeah.
process is terrible. Everything in that chain, the work, the place, what's being done,
Yes. Oh, the
and just
work,
the result of
exactly.
that little steak you get. That's
Exactly. Like, is
Right.
it
the
worth
best
it?
part of that process.
Right. And
Is it
it's dangerous for the humans in addition to, of course, the animals. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's depressing. It's like it causes a lot of anxiety for workers. A lot of times, as migrant workers end up in those places because nobody else wants to do it, and then they end up in even worse conditions because they don't have the right protections and rights. So it is definitely like it's something that we really think needs to happen. I mean, it does need to happen
Yeah.
for the world to shift away from meat. And I think there's a lot of really cool campaigns out there. There's Veganuary that really does. They get a lot of traction. A lot of people do Veganuary, and they realize how it's not that hard to go vegan, right? I think a lot of people go vegan from there. People doing Meatless Monday in school. You guys have heard about this governor in New York he's a vegan, right? What's his name?
No, do tell.
Ah,
It's a
the
mayor.
mayor.
The
Sorry,
mayor.
the mayor. Sorry.
Mhm.
Yes, the mayor of New York City is a vegan man, and he's putting plant-based meals in schools, and he's doing like amazing things for the community in New York for just like the health of the population. He's great. I forget his name. I wish I knew it right now because he's wonderful. So just
Yeah, he's
getting people like
also
that.
made
Uh-huh.
sure that they have plant-based options in hospitals. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
when my father had a heart issue, he was in congestive heart failure, and I asked his cardiologist, wouldn't it be good for him if he ate some plants? And he said yes. And I said, well, look at what they're feeding him: roast beef and mashed potatoes
Yeah.
with butter, and his meals were not heart healthy. And the doctor said, well, excuse, excuse, excuse.
Well, and
And I
something we
asked,
know.
mhm.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, I asked the cardiologist, why don't you do something about this? And he said, well, first of all, we want people to be happy with their meals, and
Comfort.
we
Keep them
comfort, right?
comfortable.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
we don't think our clients or patients would accept a plant-based lifestyle change.
Well, and
Like
doctors don't really know either. Doctors don't necessarily know any of this stuff because doctors learn medicine, which is great. Doctors need to know medicine, but they don't necessarily learn holistic health. They don't learn nutrition at all. Most doctors are not. There's no real nutrition requirement for doctors in the US. So they wouldn't really know how dangerous it is. Plus the meat industry, like, we can't underestimate big ag. When we talk about big ag, well, a lot of it we're talking about factory farming, right? Like all of the
Mhm.
soybeans, all of that corn, all of those dairy cows, all of those like beef cows. big and that's a lot of money. So there's a lot of interest, like financial
To
interest in
upkeep the
maintaining these
industry.
industries. Yeah, exactly. So that's where it's like we as like individuals, we have to take the initiative because I don't think that the government is going to do it for us.
So I think maybe the solution might be not in detaching from the idea of consuming meat and dairy. It's rather offering other options like we're doing now, like showing a different lifestyle through education, through showing people that substitutes are possible, instead of going to war against one message and one idea, offering something different.
Absolutely. And yes, that's exactly what we do in our program because we want it to be delicious. We think that your food should be delicious. All of my food is delicious. Right? You just have to learn some tricks, like a couple of things you have to learn in the kitchen, like swaps and tips and tricks that you have to kind of start to incorporate, right? And substitutions. So, like what we do every week, we'll say, like, okay, this week, let's talk about, let's say, chicken, right? And here are 10 chicken substitute kind of recipes that you can try to make. They have no chicken in them. Maybe they have chickpeas, maybe they have tofu, maybe they have something else, but it's something that you might have traditionally associated with chicken. And here's a plant-based version of that.
That's amazing. So tell me more about your program. How's it happening? What's the process? What should people expect?
Yeah, well, so we have an 8-week transition program. So when we first started coaching, we said, okay, day one, you are whole food plant based from now
Let's
on, and here's what.
go.
Oh,
Vegan.
there we
And
go.
people were like, it's not.
It's too much. It's too much.
Forget your
So,
old life.
They were like, we are hungry. What do we eat?
yes. So
Welcome to the evolution.
Right. It's not.
Right.
It's not.
So
Yeah.
what we do instead is we do say, okay, this is, if you were whole food plant based as of today at the beginning, this is what it will look like. But what we do instead of saying, okay, do all that right now today, I mean, you can if you want to, but what we're going to do in the program is every week we remove an animal product, and we start with pork. Pork's an easy one. Like some people are Jewish, for example, they don't eat pork. That's an
Yes,
easy one to
your
let
girl here
go.
is Jewish. A
Easy,
pork
easy. Week
eating
one.
one, but
Week one is so
not a
easy for you.
secret. Help me, please.
Need to get you in week one. Let's go. Right. So we'll never just say stop eating pork. We'll say, hey, instead of anytime you could have eaten pork in the past, here's some other things you could do. Like you can make a carrot hot dog, for example, which might sound really weird, but if you marinate it and then you cook it so it's the same consistency, it's gonna taste great. It's gonna
I
taste.
made them for a 4th of July picnic, and everybody loved them.
People
Everybody,
love
all the
them.
meat eaters and not eaters.
Did you tell
Really?
everybody it was vegan, or did you just pass it under
I
the
didn't say
table?
the word. I never say the word vegan. I just say carrots.
That's a carrot. It's a
I mean,
carrot.
people like carrots, right?
Yeah.
My boyfriend makes banana peel bacon all the time. He loves
What
it.
is banana peel bacon? We need to have the recipe right now. Everybody's just
Go.
listening. I feel like it's the one thing everybody's gonna try after listening to this podcast.
It's
You
so
should. You should
easy.
try it. It's so
Easy.
easy. Yeah. It's a ripe banana, right? If it's the brown spots, you marinate the peel like for a
Everybody
couple
has
hours.
those. Go grab them.
Let's go. Go get your bananas. Get to marinate out. You can make a marinade with whatever you like, right? I use soy sauce and a little bit of maple syrup and liquid smoke and like garlic and spices like that.
And you would
You
just
just pan
fry
fry it.
it?
You just pan fry it. It's so crunchy and good. You make a BLT with that.
Everybody
It's
who's gonna try this recipe, please do leave us feedback and comments. I want to see pictures. I want to
we
get
need
tagged
to
in
know.
those. Let's start a banana bacon trend.
Let's go.
Right? So
Okay.
that's week one.
Mhm.
And as we're doing the food things, we're also teaching some techniques to do that shifting from the judge and accomplices to the sage and the wisest way of thinking. So every week we're taking away, substituting meat or animal. I say animal flesh and secretions.
Ooh.
It sounds gross, right? When you start
Makes it.
thinking, oh, that's an animal
Yeah.
secretion.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Let's
It's easier to
rebrand
let go
dairy.
of when you put it like that.
And
Absolutely.
then the last couple of weeks, we also recommend pulling back from sugar, oil, and salt. Not totally eliminating those, but just when you start looking at, for example, vegan cheese is mostly made of oil, and oil is is a highly calorie dense food. It's not found in nature. If you want
Super
olive,
processed. Super
super
processed.
processed. If you
Yeah.
want olive oil, eat some olives. Salt has health negative health impacts, and also sugar. And so by the end of it, you're eating unprocessed, beautiful plant foods and feeling like you're empowered. And like Sarah said, the sage way of thinking is good for relationships, it's good for career performance in all kinds of ways. So,
Yeah. And I would say in every week too, I would just add that we always go through like a why are we doing this? Like for like let's say like week one, we say like why pork? Okay, this is the environmental impact, this is how the animals are raised, and these are the health impacts. And just we never like go anything like really graphic, but we do show just like this is what it is. This is the information that you need to
This
know
is what
about.
you're putting on your plate.
This is exactly
This is the
the health
choice you're
impact,
making.
right? Or
right.
banana bacon.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it's easier to be motivated to do this for people who have a health issue. Like
Yeah.
somebody that has high blood pressure, they have heart disease, they have diabetes, type 2 diabetes. They know they need to make a change. If or even there's evidence that 90% of Alzheimer's and dementia can be prevented with the plant-based lifestyle.
Wow. That's
So,
huge.
and the time to start that is in your 30s.
Yeah.
It's it's not too late. Like for people like me, I'm 59. It's not too late for me
You
to
look way younger, by the way.
thank you.
Yay,
It's all the
plant-based diet.
plants. It's all the
Wise
plants.
sage. It's the plants, guys. You see the results.
It's the plants. But yeah, so starting in your 30s is the time to protect your brain and really feed it things it needs. It needs healthy carbs, for example. Um, it it doesn't need risky substances and
Doesn't need cholesterol. The thing is, like,
cholesterol.
cholesterol literally clogs your arteries and slows down
Yeah.
your blood flow, and that's what ultimately affects your blood pressure, obviously, but also your brain. So, like, your brain needs a lot of blood flow. So anything that you're putting into your body that's constricting your blood flow, that's bad for your brain health long term. So that's anything that's high in cholesterol or high in saturated fat.
Yeah, it's one of the number one killers in the 21st century, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Mm.
it's sad too. It's sad to see. I don't know if any of your relatives have had Alzheimer's, but it's really sad to kind of see them disappear like right in front of you, right? Like they're there, but they're not there, right? And I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah, if it's
Yeah,
preventable, like we should prevent it.
for sure.
exactly. And I'm not sure why I started talking about that, but it's an issue that's close to my heart because my mother has
Mhm.
Alzheimer's. She's 92, and she's, yeah, like Sarah said, she's not herself. Oh, I guess I was saying people are more motivated when they have a health issue,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
prevention maybe isn't an easy sell. You feel great already. Like, why do I need to go plant based? I already feel fine. Um, especially for someone younger.
Yeah.
So, maybe we wouldn't be able to change the entire world and sweep everybody into veganism, right? But let's talk about the people that might be listening to us right now and they're not ready yet to make that complete choice and flip their life around this and go completely vegan. But what are the three first things that you guys would suggest for somebody who wants to start incorporating a more vegan, a more sustainable lifestyle into their everyday?
I could say for one, don't make any changes too fast. So, like things that you already eat, like I said
Mhm.
before, like finding a plant-based version of that, that's huge.
Gradually
Just
and
like
slowly.
yeah, just
Don't
switch out a couple
overwhelm
of ingredients.
yourselves.
Don't go all in
Yeah.
and then get like overwhelmed and then say like, "Oh God, I can't do it." And then you just judge yourself even harder because you failed and then you don't want to try again because you don't want to fail again. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Like be
Because
right,
nice
some
to
right.
people
yourself.
think, okay, I'm vegan now, and they
I have to.
eliminate
I
their
can't.
entire kitchen, a week into
Yeah, I
that,
can't
and
do
it's
that.
not sustainable. It's not
No.
like long-term choice. Because they feel so overwhelmed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right,
too
and don't
much.
throw away
Yeah.
your food. Don't do that. It's not helpful. You're not helping anything if you throw away the food you already have in your fridge.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I know somebody that went vegan like that, and they tried tofu, didn't like tofu, went back to the way they had been eating
oh no.
before. So yeah, it's just taking it easy, finding recipes you like, knowing that some are going to be a fail, but
Yeah.
finding things that you like. So So, okay, Sarah, that was number one. What was your thought on number two?
I guess all of those were number one of just like gradual. Number two is to find people that are near you that are either wanting to go vegan or that are vegan. Even better if you can find people that are already eating pretty plant-based, because those people are a great resource. Right? 'Cause it's like they'll just know
Yeah, to
stuff and they'll
answer
support you.
some questions, where to get ingredients.
Exactly. Where do I get ingredients? Where can I eat out? What's a good substitution for this? Also, like, am I crazy? Everyone thinks
Recipes.
I'm crazy. Recipes.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
also you can see how people who are already living like that, how they're feeling, what clarity of thoughts they have. Now they're not
Yeah,
digesting as much meat, right?
exactly. Yeah, right. They have so much blood flow in their brain. And I would say number three, which is a really maybe should be number one, is to educate yourself. And I think just starting with some documentaries is a really good way to get started to go vegan. Like The Game Changers is a very good. Have you seen that one?
No.
It's a
Uh-huh.
very good one. I would recommend that one as a first one to anyone because it's really accessible. It is like focused on vegan athletes, but it's really just about health. It's about the environment. They talk about animals. It's really well done. It has some famous people that I could name. I'm so
Yeah,
bad with naming famous
it
people.
was the producers are Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce
Uh-huh.
Lee, and
Hmm.
they found some vegan athletes who were willing to show how their performance improved by making a
It's a
change.
very good
Um,
documentary. It's
that's
Several
a good
listeners
one.
might be like, vegan athletes.
yeah.
What is that?
Arnold
What kind of
Schwarzenegger, do we know? No, actually, a lot of athletes are vegan. They find that they're like a lot of Olympians eat very little meat, even from like back in the day. This is not like a new thing either.
Yeah, no, there's one NFL team, which I'm drawing a blank on which one,
Ah,
that
right,
almost
me
the whole
too.
team is vegan.
They're
So yeah.
famous. Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say the same thing about education, and I was leaning more toward books. So there are lots of documentaries. There's What the Health, Seaspiracy,
Forks over knives,
Cowspiracy. Um,
cowspiracy.
that sugar film is not really about being vegan, but it's about eating healthy, and it kind of
Hmm.
uh,
It's a good
not
one.
eating.
Yeah, it's
That's
well
a good
done
one.
as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So all of those, and then books. So I like to listen to audiobooks, and one of my
Audiobooks are
favorite.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. You can do it while you're doing something else. So it's multitask. One of my favorite ones is called The Cheese Trap by Neil
Mhm.
Barnard. And it's all about how cheese is made, because I would say besides bacon, the next thing is cheese.
Oh, I
People say,
love cheese. Help
right? I
out.
love cheese. I love cheese. And cheese is basically baby cow growth food. It turns a small baby calf into, 400-pound cow in a short amount of time, and it's not meant for people. But he
Well, and
goes through.
human adults, sorry to interrupt, but human adults are the only animal on this earth that drinks like milk as an adult or also drinks the milk of another species. Like it's not as natural as we've been led to believe. So go ahead, Mama.
Right.
You can finish your thought.
Well, yeah. So that's just an example of a book that really made a big impact on me, because cheese. I mean, let's just face it. Cheese is delicious. Okay, it tastes
We've all
good.
said that. Everyone that was never like wasn't vegan before, I used to say I could never give up cheese, and then I did, and then my mom said the same thing. She said, "Sarah, I'm down for plant based, but I don't want to give up cheese." and, then, and then
Right.
eventually you read that book,
It's
and then yeah,
Right.
it's a
So
yeah.
yeah, that's just an example of a book, but it's really diving into, if you have one area like cheese, or if one area that you're interested in. If you're interested in the environmental impacts, there's Diet for a New Earth. Is that what it's called, Sarah? So the founder of Baskin Robbins, his son John Robbins,
Ocean. Oh
turned
wait,
it.
Ocean Rapids.
Well, his son was John. Ocean is the
Oh,
grandson.
that's
John
right.
Robbins, who's the heir to this huge ice cream fortune, turned his back on the whole idea of ice cream,
oh
because he
wow.
realized that dairy is not good for the cows. It's not good for people. It's bad for the planet. And he wrote a book, and this is actually kind of an old book, like 1970s. And then his son is Ocean Robbins. He's also an environmental activist, so they have some good books. So if you're interested in the environment, you could find some interesting books. If the health, Cheese Trap, How Not to Die by Michael Greger is a good one. Because
How to
Title,
diet,
I want that book.
he has a sassy like voice. His voice really comes through in the writing, and it's so fun to read because
yeah,
he's
he's
sassy. He's
funny.
a sassy
And,
doctor.
the top 10 causes of death in the Western world are related to meat and dairy consumption. So,
Wow.
so he breaks all that down, and suicide he includes in as one of them. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, but yeah.
Yeah,
And
he connects it to your serotonin and your gut and like your depression. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and then so if animal welfare is your interest, there's also a lot of material about that, but it's heartbreaking. So it just
yeah.
depends on
Yeah.
A
how
lot of
How
yeah,
deep you want to dive into that.
yeah,
You don't need to see the atrocities that we do to
right.
animals to make that decision, right?
Well,
Because
yeah,
again,
some people. No, go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, Sarah, because again, it doesn't have to be like this ethical choice. It could be from a different aspect, your self-love for how you
yes.
treat yourself, your relationship with yourself. And it seems that in your program you guys cover all the aspects, the change you should make, why you should make it, here's the reasons, and here's the mental shifts around it, right? Like so it could be about that more than about ethics, right? But from an
Yeah.
ethical point of view, it just seems like having more vegans on our planet might balance things out.
Yeah, it's hard because there are a lot of vegans that really think that like you should watch documentary. There's a documentary called Earthlings. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you've heard of it. There's a documentary called Dominion, and like there's a lot of vegans that are out there that say you should watch this, you should bear witness, but we don't say that because we want you to love yourself, and I just don't think that's really it's like if you if you need to see that and you need to kind of bear witness in order to be able to stay vegan, that's totally your choice, and some
Yeah.
people do need to to do that, but I can't. Like, I mean, I saw those when I was 14, and ever
Yeah.
since then, like, I look away. I get PETA ads all the time on my computer, and they're so graphic. PETA knows that I care. They're like, "Look at these pigs. Send us donations."
Oh, Sarah,
It's
at
so
this
hard
point,
to see.
I would stop watching these. You're there. You're
No,
doing your
I know, I'm like,
impact.
PETA, stop. You're advertising to the wrong crowd.
PETA, enough.
Yeah.
We
Enough.
beg of you. We get it.
Yeah.
We will carry the message.
Exactly. I'm doing it,
Carried by
PETA.
the breeze, right now. This very
Well,
moment.
Exactly.
when we talk about making a change in our lives, I look at it this way. There's three ways to make a change. You can change what you do with your hands, what you do with your mind, or what you do with your heart. So, how you feel about something, how you think about something, or what actions you're taking. And, you know yourself, you and the people listening, you know yourself. What's your most comfortable way of leading change? Do you just want to get in there and try some new recipes, or would you like to, have a more emotional connection to animals? Go to a farm, and there's lots of farm animal rescues where they take in cows and chickens, and you could get to know some of these creatures, maybe volunteer, see if that's for you. Or maybe
Put a
it's more
name to
about
that steak.
Yeah,
right, right. Or maybe it's more thinking, like reading a book and learning the knowledge, what's going on under your skin. Once there's more to you than just your taste buds. You have
Exactly. Precisely. And now that we debunked so much prejudices around the health aspect of it, it's a choice, guys. It's just a choice, right? It's a choice if you want to choose your taste buds and this, momentarily satisfaction of how meat tastes or how cheese tastes, and making a choice that would serve you for a long term. So be kind to the planet, be kind to yourself, and all good shall be bestowed on you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you could do it right. And you could do it right. You don't need to be hungry or lost or confused about anything considering a plant-based diet, right? And I see that a lot of people are getting into it now, more and more these days, right? So it's not just this niche trend anymore, veganism is out there. Vegans are
It is, and we love to
making
see it. We're
it.
in restaurants. We have vegan options now in restaurants and sometimes even at fast food. It's like it's coming out, right? It's coming out.
For
And if you have
sure.
social media, right, like following pages, okay, the thing you have to be social media, you follow these pages, they make these beautiful meals. Your meals might not look like that. That's okay. They're still going to be delicious, right? And there's so much
Exactly.
inspiration and so many pages and websites and blogs. And they're really like, if you're not sure what to eat, really just Google it or like ask ChatGPT or ask Alexa. Like there's
Exactly.
so much.
Simplify. Don't overcomplicate
Exactly.
the process. And if you're feeling lost or confused or have any questions, you have amazing coaches such as Elizabeth Reed and Sarah Bird, and you could always engage in their program and learn how to do it right. So you go straight to the results you're looking for without having to do your own research and run like a headless chicken, pun intended, not knowing what you're doing.
Pun intended. That was a good pun. Exactly, that's the idea of their program is we want to be a support system for people so they don't get overwhelmed. So if they need that and they want that, because some people might be there, like, I really want to do this, but where do I start? Like, what do I do? Like, what's the process? And if you want to do it on your own, you can try it. And if you need help, then find a friend or find us or find a buddy, someone that can really, if that's what you want, like in your heart and in your mind, you can do it. We believe in you.
For sure. Guys, thank you so much for this amazing episode. I really love talking to you. I hope to see you on more episodes here because I believe in a sustainable future. And everybody who has any ideas on how to improve on life upon Earth, so we don't need to worry about future generations and we don't need to leave them with all this damage we're doing, Everything could be reversed right now, and we have this choice to make. How do we want to live our lives? What kind of choices we're going to be making and how they impact our values, our entire belief system. So give veganism a try. Give it an opportunity. It sounds like a fun journey if that's what you want for yourself. And yeah, you're welcome to approach these amazing coaches that we had on the show today. And if you have any more questions to us, please feel free to leave them in the comments anywhere on every platform. We will surely get back to you on our next episode because, guys, I would love to have you again. I feel like...
Thank you so much for having us. We love having conversations with you. We love how open you are. You ask thoughtful questions. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much.